political analyst, author, and journalist Raza Rumi. He joins us live from New York. Okay, Raza, the other day when we heard from the Prime Minister after the Supreme Court's decision, he made a lot of accusations. He said that foreign governments were conspiring against his government. He said that politicians were buying support, that democracy was under threat in Pakistan. Is there any hard evidence of any of this?
Sadly, none. And that's the real problem here. Anti-Americanism is a very popular political slogan in Pakistan, and part of it has to do with Pakistan's troubled history, where it has been a frontline ally of the US in its various security projects, whether the Cold War or the Afghanistan war, and then later the more recent so-called war on terror. So there is a sentiment in the public about the US sort of dictating its terms. But Imran Khan has very cleverly diverted the attention from his 3.5 years of misrule to the foreign conspiracy to remove him. And this is sadly being accepted and bought by a lot of Pakistanis as well. There was a cable which the former ambassador of Pakistan to the US wrote. It's an internal memo that he wrote to his foreign secretary, citing some informal discussions with the US officials, in which they basically said that let's wait for the vote of no confidence before we start working on re-engagement with Pakistan. And this was interpreted by Imran Khan and his close associates as a threat of regime change. And so it has been cited as a reason why he didn't allow the opposition to vote last Sunday, calling them all American agents. And even yesterday, he spoke to the people saying that if there's a government change, it will be, quote unquote, imported government. So he's using this as a political ploy. And unfortunately, there is no hard evidence to suggest that the US is seeking regime change. The US is infamous for doing that in Latin America, in other parts of the world. So we mustn't give US a clean chit. But in this case, US does not really have any immediate objective to achieve by effecting a regime change. I mean, logically and rationally, it doesn't make sense either.
Something else that Khan said that was interesting was when he announced that his government was going to dissolve the National Assembly, he said, let the people decide. So he clearly thinks that he is under deep threat by this no confidence vote. But if it went to a vote to the people in a new election, that he could win. Is that true? Has some of what he has said resonated with the public much more than it passes inside of Parliament?
Yes, so I think he, as a smart politician, as I mentioned earlier, under his rule, Pakistanis on average have become poorer. GDP per capita declined substantially. There's been high food inflation even before COVID and throughout the years that he has been the prime minister. So there was a lot of anger, even among his supporters, about the rising prices, inflation. And with this new threat to his government and the, waving of the US conspiracy, so-called conspiracy, he has certainly won their support back. Now, whether that translates into votes is very difficult. It is a very complicated political landscape where voting, such popular slogans really translate into huge number of votes. So he would do well, but I don't think, as we speak, if elections were held tomorrow, it is very unlikely that he could be able to form a government on his own.
Right, and of course, what he's been trying to do, he and his party, has also angered a lot of voters, feeling like that is undermining democracy. Raza, excellent to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.